good evening, and welcome to the show tonight on Meeting Your Leaders. We are hosting Bishop John Mambo, and to take you through, my name is Chaza, and we'll be together with my co-host Lance. Lance, good evening.
Good evening, Chaza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty fine. How's been your day?
My day has been okay and very busy. I don't know how has been your day.
My day has been busy, tiresome, but fine. Tonight we are actually hosting Bishop John Mambo, and the topic under discussion is the role of the church in Zambia. And we want to see or hear from our guest what the church has been doing and what the church is expected to do in Zambia. Bishop John Mambo, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening and good evening, viewers and listeners.
We are excited to host you tonight on Meeting Your Leaders. Okay, the first thing that I would like to get from you, Bishop, because you are a man wearing a couple of jackets, so deliberately I did not want us to start, talking about all these jackets that you have. Would like to hear from you, and as you get to introduce yourself fully, would like to have a brief background about yourself and the jackets that you are representing as you appear on this show tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to say that when you appear in such topics, I think you are careful. The church we're always sensitive. But in short, I am John Hadi Mambo, Daka Nguruwe, all those surnames, but someone that has been a co-laborer for a number of years. And I like to call myself a servant and a brother in Christ.
Okay, that's pretty good. So this time around, as you get to appear on the show, would like also to highlight just a little bit. You've talked about being a laborer or a servant in Christ, and there's also some other aspects to that. Just in a snippet, would like you to tackle even the other side apart from the clergy side.
I am a villager who currently, from time to time, I'm in the village, senior headman in one of the chiefs, and I'm involved in the, you've already mentioned, Chikon Foundation, which really deal with women empowerment. Try to uplift their standard because women like to getting it all. And then also I'm from the corporate world. I served as a group general manager of several companies under Chekos. I served as an air traffic controller at one time. I started laboring. When we were at school, those days we were lucky we had what we call manpower development. I started with Zambia Broadcasting Corporation when I was in the licensing department. Then I went to engineering and all that. And years by, I came to labor for you and anyone that wants me to labor for. Denying myself, lifting up the cross and follow Christ. Am I perfect? No.
Mm-hmm. Great. Just like we anticipated, we knew that if we went on to introduce you, we could have left all this vital information that you have given us. We are so delighted, Bishop, once more to host you on our show tonight. At this point in time, Bishop would like to get into the show, the nitty-gritties of the show. What is the role of the church in Zambia? I'd like you to take us through briefly to give us or highlight those roles that the church is supposed to take up in society, in governance, and generally in everything. What is the role of the church in Zambia?
I think our first calling is that of preaching the gospel. Go ye into all the part of the world and proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. And as we know that the early missionaries, if we talk about our leaders today, they went through mission schools, they were served through mission hospitals and a number of things. Ours really is to be a hospital of all sicknesses. You're no longer seeing that today because the same church has become a Jesus industry where it's no longer calling. I have no job elsewhere. The best way for me to do is to quickly run into the church. The church is of following Christ, lift up the cross and follow him. Painful as it is, you will have to play both ways. I know a lot of people will be saying, look, there are times when you cross the line. Which line? Because a politician is born in the church and he has to be corrected. But in Zambia, we have reached a level where, because you allowed us, that's a politician, to be Christian for an individual rather than God, and then to become generous, sometimes of life, rather than preaching the message of cross. This is where we have lost it. But in the area of developing this country, we should be in the forefront. If we had kept checks and balances, the issue of corruption would never be neither here or there, because most of these people today found one thing: they are own children in the body of Christ. They are part of us. They are our relatives. We even know that yesterday I didn't have a bicycle. Tomorrow I've got 100 VXSs or houses and so forth. Without the church, and this is why they will quickly be judgmental instead of leaving judgment to God and all that. Now, in a country where the church, for example, in Zambia, I was in the Mambo Constitutional Review Commission myself. Starting from Mainza Chona's commission, may so rest in peace. Maybe I was just a small boy then. The issue that our founding fathers wanted was the church to remain, let the church be the church. And the Bible is very clear. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, kneel, pray, instead of pointing fingers at the wrongs and sometimes misdirecting ourselves on matters that do not help the people who are hating in terms of wanting to preach, because Christ was crucified on a tree that he created. But of late, peace and compassion is not there. We end up being hypocrites, including myself. I don't like to talk about other people. When you look at what is happening in our country today, if you have a function in a country that in our preamble, the church, Zambia has been declared a Christian nation, maybe when they mention the entire hierarchy, you find that the church member is number 10 or almost zero. And the reason is because we wanted it itself. But all I'm saying is never too late. We just need to go to the mountain or wherever it might be and just pray and confess us. That's all, because none of us is an angel. Let me end by the side opening. Last year in August, we as a church decided to take a position of God by being judgmental, being prophet of doom, dividing the people that were created by God. We now have to bring healing into this nation. You never wake up one day and say, you know, tribal A or B can never rule and so forth. God has humbled us as a church. To go back again, I started with the early missionaries. He came only to evangelize, but I did not just come to evangelize. but also alongside the brought bread and butter, because going to school, be it Katondo Mission and all that, everything was there. So the destruction, how we have destroyed the country, we have been part. Now, instead of us saying, no, let's pause, we are in the forefront trying to be judgmental. That is not good. I do it, they do it, but it's important that we bring about the healing of this country, which at one time was divided, where we marginalized other tribes. Tribe A cannot do A, B, C, and so forth. So the role of the church is to see that we become ambassadors of God. I end there and rest my case.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Personally, you've been known to be a man who voices out when things are not going on right. But the question is, as a church, are you doing enough as regards the provision of checks and balances to the government?
We should be doing that. We're not doing enough. Because what the government did was to shut our mouth. And because of the love for money and myself, what do you do when you are given a brown envelope? What do you do when you are given a VX which you didn't expect? What do you do when the government pay your rent and so forth? Every Sunday when I stand, I seem to say, those who don't give tithing and offering, we go back to, again, the scripture. Anyone who doesn't do that is a thief, but the Lord will bless you according to his riches in glory. Meanwhile, that is not being done. May I say this, and with due respect, hypocrisy has taken a stand. And I'm saying, past is dead and buried. If you want to read a new page, you close the old one. We should never repeat what we have been doing in the past. We have not done, again, this question I've already answered, checks and balances, because those who are found wanting now, those who enrich themselves, because when you look at the Zambia, it's a poor country, but the rich are filthy rich. The poor go to the grave as early as 6 o'clock, and we rejoice. Most of us don't even know where we come from. The moment you come into the city, you're just like an MP. He's from Mbala, but when he's in town, you find a land in the new code Kasama, I call it a Cape Town. You the mansion, it ends there. We are not representing the people now. I want to be on record that my position has been, whether you like me, you call me names, I am not saved, and so forth. I know who I represent. I know where I draw my strength from. I know who provides. I've died 5 times, but God himself has said, no, you still have something to do. So to answer your question, for now, we are not doing it. Let us start with the new Dawn government doing that.
Bishop, you have been a clergy as you are, and you have also seen yourself into politics. What has really prompted you to actually see yourself get into politics?
I have never gone into politics. If I went into politics, I would be a councillor without having to spend 1 cent. I would have been one MP without 1 cent. But the people that the politicians are governing are people of God. This is where we are missing it. If South Africa didn't have the Tutus, who almost their lives were taken, you would have been talking about South Africa today. If Tutu didn't take a stand and say, I thought there's a change after coming from Zambia, because there were freedom fighters here. They were in Ilanda, Chilenge, and so forth. Now we have 5 Mercedes-Benz and so forth. Had I known, I would never vote for the ANC. May his soul rest in peace. Would they call him a politician? If America today didn't have people like the Jesse Jackson and so of this world, what would have happened? So all we are trying to do is to pretend. If the economy is biting, it's affecting all of us. And I've told you, I said, the people, the politicians are governing you and me, are the creation of God. But you have to draw a straight line. I mean, if I was a politician today, maybe I would have been your ambassador somewhere. But in all positions that I said, because don't forget, in 1991, I was there. The first person that Chiluba, may so rest in peace, who called, later on called Bishop Joy Makando, still there. Late Foston Sagala is going to be with the Lord. And then also Father Bantuga has gone with the Lord. It's myself. Do you want a ministerial position? My answer was no. I have suffered enough praying for what is right. We can be called to serve in other positions. For example, to serve in wherever you wanted, but not the position that will compromise your stand in talking for those who are voiceless.
Great. Bishop, we have seen an emanation of all sorts of clergymen that are seemingly not doing what is right, and they are bringing disrepute to to Christianity in Zambia. We've seen some people that have been made to eat grass, drink kerosene, and so on and so forth. And such things have actually made even the perception of society to look down on the church. What are you doing as a church about this? Do we need some sort of regulation of the churches, or how exactly can we have sanity in the church today?
Why should we have regulations? You as a journalist are advocating that. Because the current, no, I'm asking, are you advocating that? That they should tell you who to follow and find out or dig deeper? The answer is no. And thank God the current president has advanced in his thinking. He has said, let journalism, regulate themselves. The church must regulate itself. But at the same time, we have three mother bodies. And there are even more. Because you have Muslims, you have got Baha'is and so forth. You understand? But the three mother bodies that we have known all along is the Zambia Episcopal Conference, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, the Council of Churches. But there are many independent churches and so forth. There are about more than 12 and so forth. They are the ones who should call me to account for what I do wrong. But I've told you one thing. Many of us have decided to be involved in what we call Jesus industry. Many who claim his name, but few uphold. Mind you, we are not in competition. There are many evil happenings in our country. So if all of us would unite, even after we made the mistakes that we made in the last few years, because let me tell you one thing, and I have no apology to make. I don't care about what other people say. The church was almost putting this country into a civil war. It was so bad that if we didn't pray, some of them, and fast and all that, something bad would have happened. But God loves this country, because if you remember during Kaunda, there were so many attempted coups, but they failed. And this time around, it was a step. In terms of hate, we were in the forefront saying so-and-so is a man so-and-so, and things of that nature. Instead, I've started by saying, a church is a hospital of all sicknesses. I am here talking to you, not that I'm an angel, not that I'm perfect, no. I confess daily. In my small ensaka in the village, I have a writer which reads, God, and I want to quote, God help me to shut my big mouth until I know what I'm talking about. Amen. So these things are happening. And you yourself, you're a journalist, you know more than myself. The favor that we have wanted, not want working with our hands, tell others to do and so forth. So it is time now we should turn around, because the majority, I'll give you an example. We are the Minister of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. I'm in trouble by simply saying it didn't serve the purpose, because under Kaunda we had national guidance, humanism part 1 and 2. Now, that ministry, what they did was, if you wanted a pass, I surrendered my diplomatic passport long time ago, because I didn't want my mouth to be, to be shut by a red passport. But those who are keeping it, they are the ones that, that one talk, Now, let me tell you, that ministry, what they did was, there are certain things that they did good. But remember, there was what they called a church empowerment fund. The bishop of Chipata, Balungu, turned those funds down. And his reason was very understanding. He says, look, my own members have not been paid their retirement benefits. Pay them first. If they are our members, they'll come and pay the tithe. If they are other members, that's over. But others got that money and they went around over a butane. What happened later? Some of us who are beating the drum the most, it's like we're talking, we said it won't be work, it will be defeated. Even during election, to the end, that's the first time I became a prophet. I said, people have made up their mind. There will be a change in this country. We knew that if the elections had gone the other way around, you wouldn't have been talking to me, would have been gone. But because God is on the throne, we took our stand. It will happen and we'll be ashamed. So the happenings in this country, it is our own making. And don't talk about people, we are all one, but I think the Bible, I'm coming from the corporate world. This is why when you said introduction, what and what, I didn't want to talk about, no, I was running 5 companies, I was doing ABC and things, but no, that's not it. Even now, as I'm sitting to you here, I'm still a livestock farmer, a small one, I'm able to say, oh, you have a conference, do ABC and things of that nature. Meaning that each one of you, God created us for a purpose. This country, which is declared a Christian nation, number one. Secondly, a Democrat in this country. Things will change because you have what it takes to build your nation.
Thank you so much, Bishop. I'd like to draw you a little bit back. At the time of elections, we saw a lot of police brutality, and now we have also seen the fight against corruption. The expectations of the people have been different from some of the outcomes. What about the church? What is your position as regards the status quo? Corruption, brutality, and so on and so forth. What is the voice of the church?
I am on record, my brother and the listeners, that we should not be selective. But it's disappointing. We've been told to say we are very poor Zambians at reading. What makes a judge dismiss a case because certain things were signed before, but evidence you and me can see that this enrichment you didn't just end it, no. It's because the system in the past, it was of a mafia. There is somewhere in the constitution where they have said, for example, you can't tamper with the constitutional court. You can't tamper with those judges. It is somewhere hidden there. You read the constitution properly. When people go to court, immediately the proceedings start. The following day they'll come out to you journalists and said, by the way, this is the immunity that I have. You hear? Mm-hmm. This was all planned. All we need to do, my dear, we have another revolution to work on. Mm-hmm. Work on our mind of our members of parliament. Certain things in our constitution should be quickly worked on. That way you're going to bring sanity. But as it is now, we are shooting in the air. We'll look at the government of the day today and say, oh, they made a lot of promises, they cannot do it. They are following the law. I'll give you an example. We appear not to understand that the number one person that deal with the law. It's the Attorney General. But in this country, everything is directed to the president. He has failed and so on. The president has no power to do anything in terms of the law. It's the Attorney General, Solicitor General, and others. But even themselves, I'm not a prophet here, they are finding it difficult. You, even as handsome as you are, I can tell that you know how mafias used to work in Rome. You know, this is why government all the time and so forth. So Zambians, we are busy beating the no, this government has failed. You don't know what is inside there. Some of us have shut a bit because we have asked, what is your problem, Mr. President? What's the, and so forth. He said, no. There are certain things that have to change. I'll give you an example. How much money do you spend on a by-election? Why should we continue with by-election? Why should I still, with impunity, enrich myself more than I can afford to and still continue to say, no, I'm clean, witch hunting and so forth. No. It is the role of the church to come out, find out what is the problem. Here's another example. We are busy now saying, oh, this government is for gay rights, it's for and so forth. Even after, and I thank God for your initiative, the social media in your country, whether church or government, is bent to see that things are never corrected. Because anything is being twisted, and we read them as if we are reading the Bible. And that is causing problems for you, not for me. Because for me, tomorrow you might hear I'm dead. But what country are you going to have? So don't be confused by these rich people who are trying to use the social media. The way you look at it, you can tell that there's a big master somewhere who was it all. We need intervention such as yours, where you simply say, what are you trying to build a country? Because my worry is, suppose something happened to me today, what am I leaving for my grandchildren, my grandchildren, others? Others, so we have a problem as a country. And I thank God that, I must be honest, I didn't follow your station. But this is what we are looking for, where you are saying, we see a lot of things that are not happening correctly in our country. It's like we are going to go to America. We are going to go to Germany. We are going to go to South Africa. No. If Zambia is your country, yours is to see that you correctly. By doing what? Go to the Ministry of Justice, Honorable Haimbi. Honorable Haimbi, why is this thing continuing? We voted as a youth in numbers. What are we? And he's going to answer one question. I've given you, the government of the day has given you 25.7 million. How many of you have come forward to say, we want to do project A? I'll tell you one thing. I'm a chairman of one of the CDF myself. If anything went wrong, I'm going to prison because I'm going to use a pen to sign. Now, the moment you do that, you are gone. What we have discovered is the majority of you, Paribe proposal, so that the country move forward. It's a challenge.
All right, Bishop, thank you so much for now.
Of course, Bishop Mambo, welcome back. We continue with the program, and maybe one question from the church's point of view before we get into Chikondi Foundation. So we have seen in the recent past that anyway, we know for a fact that Zambia is a politically charged nation or country, and we have seen in the recent past where church leaders or different churches taking active partisan stances. This pastor or this bishop or this clergy openly supporting a particular political party when they are supposed to be the unifiers. They are supposed to be people that speak for the voiceless. what is your stance on this? Is it really a good thing for the church to take a political stance and like speaking for the many Zambians that are voiceless?
That's not a good stance, but notice one thing. In civilized country, I'll give you an example of America. You have those who are Democrats or Republican. They even endorse a person. But in Zambia, we hide under a blanket. You know who you are supporting. For example, for me, if you find me with a UPND Regalia and I'm a villager, I will tell you to say, look, bring a PF, bring MMD, I will have it. Because I know women that need those things. I know people who are almost moving naked in this country, they need those clothes. Now, let's do away with such things. And then also let's be bold. Let's graduate our democracy to a level whereby Father so-and-so, Bishop so-and-so can say, I belong to this movement, this party, without all this bashing to him, so that you feel free, because we are all lying. Each one of us sympathize to a certain organization, except that we are very ungood when it comes to that. The moment there's a change of leadership, let me give you an example. Since Sata left, went with the Lord, I've never entered State House because I didn't agree with what was happening in the past. Even now, I've not rushed to State House. You, a journalist, would have found me there. But the same people who are opposed to the current regime now in government, they are the people who are in the forefront. They say, even lobbying. I'll tell you on the inaugural day, I had to look for a city for a senior citizen. It was taken by someone who came out just like your question and said, me, I'm a Christian for so-and-so. And I said, get out of this chair. You're not a part, respect the old man. So there we are all hypocrites. Let's graduate. In South Africa, you know where Bishop Tut was. When things didn't go wrong, he says, you are my party, but I won't vote for you. Not that the ANC was just a party, but in Zambia, including yourself, you're keeping it to your chest. You understand? But all we are saying is that let us graduate. Just like the church. If you ask me when the majority in this country, they are Catholics and respect them. We fight, no. You have, in terms of medical service delivery, it is the churches, through Churches Healthy Association of Zambia. You understand? But it will be the Catholics, it will be the Salvation Army, it will be the Seventh, and a number of them. As evangelical, we were saying, even when HIV and AIDS started, we were saying, you know, to get the IRA visits was ungodly. It is now because we knew that if you open a clinic, you're going to make a bit of money because part of it is funded by the Ministry of Health. But the others, they are this gospel even before. So I think let us graduate. Let us come out to say, look, I am close to party A or to close B. This hypocrisy of fearing is not helping me. I must be able to say I'm on PF, and if my party goes wrong, I'll come out and say, yeah, you are wrong. You know now you're talking about the branding here, ABC. It's because of that fear. Kuvala blanket. Our parents, whether they had no shoes or no that, they still kuhala banda. You can't run away from a banda, no. The bandas become the bandas. The glues become the glues. But in this country, all of us, and no one can claim it's a man of God, but no. It is always good because even the language you can tell. You can tell when I'm talking which side I am. That's why I'm named my journalism school. Mind of evening hall, mind of university, and so forth. You understand? Even you journalists contribute to that because the same Daily Mail, the same Times of Zambia, if they think you are this side, they will never, my friend, I don't know when I last appeared on ZNBC. You know why? Because I was perceived to be something else. times of Zambia. Now they have changed. You understand? It shouldn't be like that. You're a professional. It is just like me. What is my calling is that of Kusenzera Mulungu. Not in Darama Zamulungu and Asizanga. If it means my Rumzani Paya, the Paya. So Zambia has a problem in that the people we liberated, South Africa, Namibia, even Zimbabwe and so forth, they are ahead of, in fact, they are laughing at us. Because them, Julius Malema left the ANC, you can tell, is not longer ANC.
Okay, maybe a quick one before we get to allow people to come through in. Still on the issue of the church. You have rightly put it. In the previous regime, you were very vocal in talking for people, for the less privileged, and obviously talking about the injustice, against the injustices that were happening in the previous regime. And you were given a cloth to say you are UPND. And then this time around, we are seeing Bishop Alec Banda of Lusaka Diocese, obviously, also putting through his thought or his mind to say, currently the UPND hasn't managed to live up to what they promised. And we have seen him also right now being said, the UPND faithfuls are saying that he is PF, and they even go back in time, say when Chiluba, when Mwanawasa, this and that, they are bringing all that out. So is it right for the church to get itself involved into politics?
We are there to be the light of on top of the mountain, the salt of this world. The politician is the one destroying us. Of late, we have a problem because there is no longer brown envelope. Whether you have an economist in State House, what he has done is the CDF is no longer for one area. Abandoned, that's why Sinikambako, CDF is everywhere. You understand? So if I want to have development, in the past you could tell that you are dividing the country. And my other brother there spoke very well to say it's a country divided. How are we going to unite it? It's by ourselves to embrace each other. This time, no area has been chosen. Now let me go further also. Where we have a problem, the people handling the president make it impossible. Maybe this is why Eric Banda is talking, you understand? When you don't allow people, just because you are privileged to be a state house and so forth, it's not good. You are saying I was vocal, it was for a reason. I used to say, if my brother, President Edgar Chagwalungu, wanted to find out what I was talking, why didn't you call me? There are times, even when the system of governance, office of the president, or known as special branch and all that, all they know is to give intelligent report. They should call people and say, but why are you now talking like this? He has an explanation. So once you shut religious leaders, they also have feelings. It cannot be just because of brown envelope, no. Now, here is my problem. Zambia is declared a Christian nation in our preamble, but you do not have a religious advisory council, a state house. You have economical advisory council. Now you are giving God a bouncing check, and you are giving Lucifer power to do things and whatever and so forth. Now, those we are saying. But if you abandon, you are my president, what more can I say? This time around, they'll say, no, come, we shall talk to you. It's still open. So I think this is where we have a problem. The dialogue is very good. What you have, you journalists, is to come to me, which I used to know in the past. We hear you have stolen. Before you write something, even if I'm not reachable, you say, we tried to reach him, but he was unreachable. But because of the social media, that's why I'm thanking you. They'll just write like that. I didn't grow up like that when I was an ever true friend of the journalist, whether in Barbosa and so on and so forth. They would call you. Of late, you don't know whether you have a cadre writing an editorial column or a journalist. For the journalist, you cross-examine. I have this story on you, and I'm not going to kill it. You can only kill it if you know that it's a lie. So things have changed. And please continue Ubuntu to be what you are. I wish you to, open many other channels because our country is being destroyed. People are laughing at us. People read about what is happening in Zambia. Look, you liberated South Africa. Zuma was a gorilla here. They even had the immunities. You could not touch a freedom fighter. Because I used to marry a freedom fighter. Now I can tell you, I used to accommodate the late Oliver Tambo. I was one of the saved heavens. In fact, counter registered me to be marrying, to be gazetted into marrying people because of the ANC in 114 Kaumbo Road. For now, I can tell you that. So we know what used to happen. It was the respect of the government. Certain things was not happy about me. So rest in peace. But today you are saying South Africa has got a better constitution. Muyoma, you were keeping Muyoma, Kuchilenje. Today is better off. All these fellows, including Zimbabwe and so forth. So this one, part of our economy is destroyed because of what we did for other countries. But today they are laughing at us. In the past, my brother, passport or no passport, you land the country, you are saying you are Zambian. Those who drink, they'll buy whole beers in a hotel. Those who don't drink, they'll go about with your bones, they're banda. Masiko, when you say Zambian, they look down, they even disappear from you. Because you have destroyed this country. And so forth. It's never too late. You can build it through Ubuntu another channel. Because what is happening now is not good.
All right, Lance, I think let us invite now the public to join us in the studio, and also the messages that have been sent to actually come through. It is quite an interesting, interview with Bishop. You may be inclined to go on asking questions and forget about the public, So
you only have 10 minutes.
Yes, indeed.
I need
we'll
to
request
go home. I need to go home.
Mr. Producer.
Abanda nakula leo.
Definitely mwakula mwe mulikuoneka.
Lomba nena ukinuta kunganda nikapumuleko nani.
Yai kwa sara pato mukapumule.
Ziko mkwaso. Nasebenze bembe.
All right, so Chaza, I think we have Nyachisegu. She wants to express a view. Nyachisegu, hi, good evening.
Good evening. I'm not here to express any view. I would like to sit here because this is absolutely interesting. What Bishop Mambo is saying is just, something that I like. He's so, like, I have to chungro pamkwai first, taba posha mkwai, or, in Lunda we say a trimushimwan. Bishop Mambo, it's great. You're an amazing bishop. I've listened to you many times, but it's also great to be able to speak with you on the same platform. What you've done in Zambia is absolutely amazing. I think when I look at you, I also look at Archbishop, I think in Pundu. I think you guys pretty much, I would rate you the same way. And I think I'm going to contradict, I'm going to be a little bit I'm going to contradict a little bit of what you've said. But before I do that, I just want to thank you for all the work that you do in Zambia. And also,
it's healthy.
Yeah. When I go back and look at what some of the church, I thought the church's role was to advise and not to become politicians. Really, where in the Bible does it tell us that the church now pastors have now become politicians? I thought the church was there to be neutral, right? To be neutral. If we see corruption, that we would come out and actually call it out. Call it out. Like you said, your door at some stage was closed, nobody was coming to ask for advice. We are supposed to go to the church whenever there are problems. Like, you know, there were problems of gassing and all this kind of stuff. The church were quiet. And like, this is not what used to happen in Kaunda's time, not even in Chiluba's time. Where have our morals gone? How have we lost our culture? Where is the church today? You know, it's so sad. I haven't lived in Zambia for a very long time, but my heart is in Zambia. I am Zambian. No matter what I do, I can try and bleach my skin, I'll still remain Zambian. So seeing people like yourself still in the last regime, the way things were, some of us were also even unable to even want to travel because we were scared of what might happen to us at the airport. But people like you were still vocal, you were still speaking. It's fantastic. And so this is where I'm coming in and saying, okay, yes, if somebody is interested in becoming MMD or whatever it is and stuff like that, they can say it. Really, Bishop Mambo, should we at the church as the clergy? Thank you. Those were my questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Nyachi Sengu, for your contribution and also the question to our guest. We also have Lamek. Lamek. We also have Lamek. If we can get him on screen and get his view or his comment or question to Lawrence rather. Hi, Lawrence. Good evening. You are muted.
Good evening, Chaza. Good evening, Lance and Bishop Mambo there.
Lawrence, you live in Solowezi. You can come and see us. You are part of it. Let those who are, like my sister has just said, and I agree with her, I'm not going to add anything. The church is guilty on a number of fronts. We end there. For you to come up,
Tizabuela. Okay, I just want to take you back a little bit to where you started from, where you mentioned you expressed a concern over how the clergy has become sold out. You know, anyone can just come in and become a pastor any day. Things are not working for me this side. Let me be a pastor. Now, I want to get your view. How do you think we can regulate that best in this country, so that we can know how to admit people into the clergy? Because your concern actually is what we have seen in many areas, in many places. Actually, you know, someone was maybe working as something somewhere, and things failed there, and then I think I can be a pastor and open a church, and boom, there is a church coming up. And then in the end, we seem to have a lot of doctrines, some of them which are not even in the Bible. Yeah, I heard you talk about self-regulating in the clergy as well. But what more can be done to keep this clergy, the clergy as upright as possible, as morally upright as possible? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lawrence, for your question.
Answer.
Maybe let's get one comment so that you can answer a block of them. So we can accommodate, I think, one more so that we move with time and get to release you. Let's get to go through one comment, Director, if we have any. All right. It seems like we have a studio guest. Hi, good evening. Evening, Wellens. Wellens, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Definitely can.
Not too bad. Thank you. Yourself?
We're doing fine. You have
brilliant.
You have 20 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening, Bishop. Lovely to be engaged in your topics, which is really, really great. I'm pleased that I'm through. I just wanted to find out. I know democracy is prevailing now in Zambia compared to where we were, yesterday. Um, I just wanted to find out. I think just to reiterate from what my sister, said earlier on. Church. I thought church was there to actually pray for the leaders of the nation. I thought the church was there to advise the government where they go wrong. And I remember very well, Bishop Mambo during the Chiruba government, they had actually, they were going to State House advising the government. I don't know where things went wrong because there the Bishop Mambo was the chairman for that group of church members, who were advising the government, and it was working quite well. I was following it, but I know it went somewhere. Leaders changed and things went bad and went wrong way. But I just wanted to find out from last time when last government we had gassing which were going on, killing of young people were being killed. University students were killed. I never heard any church actually, commenting about it. I think that was very serious for young people to die, and the church were quiet. And even some arrests that we actually witnessed, some gun shooting that we witnessed, the church could have voiced and maybe advised the government that the movement was not correct. And I just want to say to hear what the bishop would comment with these mushrooming in many churches. I remember during Manawasa time, he closed some of the many churches because they didn't have meaning at all. But what does Bishop say about these mushrooming many economic mini churches in Zambia which are going on now? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop Mambo. You can attend to these few questions or concerns that have come.
We do not have many churches. We have got Jesus industries. People who cannot get employment and all that, and then thinking that the offering and tithe is the way. The other caller talked about why is it that you have, my brother from Solwezi, there are too many churches. I remember I was the longest overseer of the Church of God in Zambia. I did not ask to be elsewhere. For more than 20 years, I was just the former overseer. But what happened? The young pastors, those whom I trained, I sent outside. They were the first one to say, no, I think if we keep him here, he's going to come back into leadership. The other thing is, I agree with all the callers. We are now worse than the trade union of Zambia. Government don't listen to us, they don't look at us, because each president has got a doubt in us. When you go to them, you are expecting, it's never a free advice, a godly advice. I agree with my other brother. We are what we call Zambia shall be saved under Chilua. Every Sunday, if Chilua was in State House, I was in Kwaza House myself. And the churches, were united. But the moment we started during Chintara as the deputy minister of State House, starting bashing each other, because towards then you started coming with the big envelopes, cut ones. That's when the mistake started. That even those who flew with the late Chibuga, may so rest in peace, to TB Joshua also may so rest in peace. They came back, started betraying each other. Of late, when journalists write about the immorality of a priest or whatever and so forth, he does not take it from the street or social media. It's from within the body of Christ. So what we have done is that we have taken it to say church is the easiest way. But at the same time, we found it is very hard because what is expected from me is just too much. Each day I'm bombarded by a number of requests. I must know how to say, my brother, I'm with you. This time I cannot help because of A, B, C, D. You know what I've done myself is to go rural and try and put the support that is needed. So we are to blame. And I totally agree with you. And I'm praying that it's never too late. The Church of Jesus Christ can return to its rightful position. Where if you went to State House, you did not wait for the others to leave so that you say, but Mr. Your Excellency, I think I have no bag of mirumi. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And when they look at you like that, they will not respect. Of late, you are saying, no, the current president is the filth rich. So if we don't beg, he's ideally. So these are things that need to stop. And the registrar of society also makes matters worse because the law says go through the mother body, but others will find themselves for just simple difference. Even in my local church of late, you have to be very careful. Will I keep this person, or tomorrow you start another church? So it's very important. And in a country like ours, we really need to be living the godly principle. Love their neighbor, care for another one. Even what Kaunda lefty is now lip service. So Abanda and those who have contributed, you have touched my heart, and I'm glad that you see it. The church, we are not in competition. The Church of Jesus Christ is not in competition. You can't have a church leader saying, tribe so-and-so will never rule. And then another have another believer, even if you urinate in Zambezi, Paribechani. Where in this world? You take a position of God because Zambia has been declared a Christian nation. No, that is wrong. We did that so that we are reminded, like they call me John. I'm named after the John Baptist, so that my parents try to raise me based on that. Am I not a sinner? Let me end by saying, I am, who is asking to be forgiven each day. Because I sin against this journalist called Banda, Naweo. By the way, I sometimes come out. Sometimes I'm very strong. I realize when I go to sleep. But I'll never compromise the truth, whether you tell me or I tell you. This country is a better country. Please continue to do. We need more of such, where social media is not to bash each other or undress people like that. No, it is there to build this country. This is your future. This is your country. And so forth. Let's go back to the drawing board. We have where we're coming from. The examples. Ambia Udeli said.
Bishop seta onga zikomo kwambiri paola omwe mwakwanisa kutipasa siku la lero.
Chinsenga chumukangani mweo muchola muzoko lini kumunzi koma mwabanda amuyiku muhimwebo zikomo kwambiri.
Time is never a best ally. Thank you so much, Bishop, for your time, and we'll be definitely calling on you to speak more on these issues. And
but I'll be watching you now that I know you are there.
Mweo ndi mwakwaso so mungaleke ziko mokwambiri.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, we have to go, and thank you so much to everybody that sent through your comments. We really appreciate that you got time to engage with us. For those that came through the studio, we appreciate, and we always say thank you. Or twalumbaga pati twaonga zikomo. I don't know how to say it in Bemba. Chaza, I think you can do the honors.
Twatotela. Twatasha sana. Mwewa chimfumu. Lesamupale. Vana vandi.
All right, we'll be back again tomorrow at 21 hours as we bring to you Pansaka. From me and Chaza, together with our guest, the Bishop, we are saying bye-bye and have a blessed evening.